Some major news this weekend. A former WWE superstar has debuted in AEW Dark. We're going to talk about that, what to expect with contracts and everything. Also, WWE canceled some WrestleMania plans. We need to discuss that because I think this is a greater problem that a lot of people aren't talking about. Also, the Young Bucks continue to tease the arrival of Jeff Hardy, which tells me it's happening soon. So we're going to talk about it all in today's video. If you guys want more wrestling news videos, you already know what to do. Click that subscribe button and feel free to check out the links down in the description below. I have multiple channels covering tons of stuff in wrestling. You guys might enjoy the content there. We're going to talk about Kurt Angle first. If you guys didn't know, we talked about this before. Kurt Angle was slated to have a return to WWE. He was going to be on TV for a short period of time. And then we also talked about how Kurt Angle was actually backstage at the Royal Rumble. However, Vince McMahon decided not to move forward with Kurt Angle coming back. Now, there was a whole bunch of talk online about maybe Kurt Angle would be involved with Chad Gable and Otis because they are the current tag team champions as Alpha Academy. There was also rumors that perhaps Kurt Angle would be involved in another storyline with like Adam Pearce and the general manager kind of, advisor role type of thing. But then there was also some rumors that were going around that Kurt Angle would actually be involved with the debut of Gable Steveson. And of course, we've actually had no confirmation whatsoever on what WWE's plans were, other than Kurt Angle clarifying that he is not signed with WWE. He is doing some stuff on like an appearance basis, project basis for the WWE network on Peacock. But other than that, Kurt Angle is not signed with the company. He's just doing some press stuff and whatever. Now, this is a big missed opportunity because WWE has told us in the past that they are bringing in Gable Steveson for a debut. As you guys know, he's the Olympic gold medalist wrestler. I think he's gold medalist if I remember correctly, but he's a very big deal to WWE. And then on top of that, there was rumors that he was going to have a match for WrestleMania this year, which, at the end of the day, if you're going to bring in somebody who is pretty big in the mainstream world, absolutely, WrestleMania is the place to do it. However, there's actually plans for Gable to be a major part of Raw, so WWE even drafted him to Raw. And I thought for sure, okay, they're going to bring in Kurt Angle, try to give him the rub. It makes a lot of sense. But for whatever the reason is, they've opted not to do anything with Kurt Angle. And this kind of shows you that WWE has a problem with committing to running certain storylines, certain angles. This idea that you might get flown to WWE and then go backstage and then realize there's nothing for you. It's a problem that WWE has had for a long time. But now, I'm trying to get excited about something and I can't get excited, So it's just one of those things, it's a very, very difficult process, but at the end of the day, this is how WWE does their business. Fans are going to be upset when they see that there's no plans in place, especially if they're the ones who are reading these rumors, and then you got people saying, hey, it got canceled, right? Because people feel like Kurt Angle left off on a bad note because of the retirement match against Baron Corbin. So people were kind of looking forward to seeing Kurt Angle come back and hopefully rectifying that, but at the end of the day, it's very hard for fans to get excited when there's no concrete plans. It seems like everything is less organized. Now, I do want to talk about something that is really cool. The Young Bucks continue to tease. They are doing so good with the social media stuff. As you guys know, we've been talking about this Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, lots of conversations about Matt Hardy teasing Jeff Hardy's arrival. Now, what's really cool is the Young Bucks have actually updated their Twitter bio, and this time the bio reads, "Bring us Jeff Harvey." Now, you might be wondering what this is in reference to, and I always forget this guy's name, and it really bothers me. But that Mike, what was that, the interviewer guy? I don't know, man. It was 2010 or something. Just bad time, bad time for WWE at that point. But they brought in that guy, Mike Adamle, I think is what it was, or Mike Adamle, or whatever his name was. Nonetheless, it doesn't even matter. He didn't know the product, so he was on TV. It was just miserable. It was a terrible time for WWE, but he called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey. So that's obviously the reference to it. The Young Bucks have used their Twitter bio in the past as an Easter egg, which is awesome. This just cements the idea that Jeff Hardy coming to AEW is getting closer and closer and closer. There's so much talk about the major announcement, the major debut that's supposed to happen. Whether or not Jeff Hardy is able to get out of his non-compete, it's all going to be very interesting. But yes, the Young Bucks are teasing it. Matt Hardy, he's got this HFO thing. He's got to break away from that storyline. They got to make some logic. They can't just randomly drop it. They got to do something so they can transition Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy together. I don't know how that's going to go, but it'll be very interesting. Obviously, the Hardy Boys and AEW, I have been very adamant this entire time that if you're going to bring in Jeff Hardy, let's get one tag team run in, have the Hardy Boys put somebody else over, and then call it a career and retire. That's my recommendation as a fan. I think from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense. And for our final news story of today's video, guys, very, very interesting stuff. But as you guys know, I love following this type of news and bringing it to you. AEW Dark has seen the debut of Vanessa Bourne. And this one is actually the most intriguing debut so far because Vanessa Bourne was an NXT superstar. And WWE had actually had plans for her to be on the main roster. She was getting ready to be on the main roster. In fact, she was actually called up to the main roster. And then WWE never put her on TV. And so AEW has now done something that I think their strategy, although I am not entertained by it, right? I've said this before. I don't personally enjoy watching Dark or Dark Elevation. Those shows are not for me. Dynamite and Rampage are for me. Those two shows are not for me. Just personal preference, right? But despite the fact that those shows are not for me, they've done something really good here. And they're bringing people in per appearance. It's almost like a tryout, right? Like, let's see what it looks like if we put them in the ring with us. We can give them a win. We can give them a loss. It doesn't really matter. First of all, we're providing jobs. And then second of all, we get to see very close and personal, do we want this person? And I think that's a really good recruiting method for AEW, especially because AEW does sign a lot of wrestlers that come from other wrestling organizations, right? WWE signs football players now. AEW says, no, we'll sign somebody that came from WWE or Impact or New Japan or anything, right? Vanessa Bourne is actually pretty talented. And look, there's other names that I would sign before Vanessa Bourne, right? I've talked about this. Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie, Ember Moon, right? Just a few of the names. I would sign them before Vanessa Bourne. But she's not on Dynamite. She's not on Rampage. She's not taking up actual TV time from somebody else on AEW. Put her on AEW Dark and see what happens. This is exactly what they've been doing with Marina Shafir, which, by the way, I think AEW should also sign Marina Shafir because what she has been showing on AEW Dark has been impressive. By the way, the AEW actually has a storyline right now, which is really good with Layla Hirsch. You know, maybe Marina Shafir, Layla Hirsch have something that they can do together. But at the end of the day, I like this idea, even though I don't like the shows Dark and Dark Elevation, right? It's just a personal preference thing, right? I like everything else about AEW. Those two shows, I watch too much wrestling to be bothered by watching that consistently, right? Doesn't mean I won't tune in. I don't have to watch it live, whatnot. I don't really have to explain myself here. Nonetheless, my point that I'm making is I think the strategy of having her show up there, wrestle a couple of matches, see what happens, I think it's a good strategy. And I think AEW definitely needs to sign more women talent. For sure they do. Because that women's division continues to improve, but it's got to get better, and that's how you do it. Is Vanessa Bourne that person? I don't know. I can't tell you. WWE didn't, they put her on the main roster, but never put her on TV, so I can't really tell you, based on what I saw from her in NXT, sure, it was fine. But what does it look like now these days? And that's what I'm curious to see. So, again, another WWE superstar showing up in AEW. It's going to keep happening. These videos will keep coming, but I'll keep you updated. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time.